Welcome back to The Deep Dive. You know us as the CryptoSoyience podcast, bringing you more alpha than anyone else.
That's right.
And this time, we're diving deep
Yep.
into RWAX,
Oh, yeah.
our protocol that's making some serious waves in the crypto space, with whispers of 100x potential.
100x.
But is it all hype? Or is there something more to this? Let's unpack this, shall we?
Let's get into it.
I'm excited about this one.
Me too.
What intrigues me about RWAX is how it tackles a very specific problem
Oh, yeah.
that a lot of crypto investors face.
Okay.
Managing risk and finding consistent returns in a market that's known for its volatility.
Let's just say that.
Crypto is volatile.
It can be.
So let's break it down for our listeners. RWAX is a perpetual DX,
A DX.
a decentralized exchange
Right.
that uses a different kind of contract than you usually see.
Interesting.
And on top of that, it's bringing real-world asset indexes into DeFi, which is a pretty novel concept. We're talking real estate,
Real estate.
commodities,
Hey.
AI, even cannabis.
Cannabis.
So help me understand this story. Like, how do these real-world assets actually help with risk management?
Well, you see, think of it this way. Crypto tends to move in its own, often unpredictable ways.
Yeah.
Real-world assets, on the other hand, usually march to the beat of a different drum. They're not directly tied to the crypto market's ups and downs.
Interesting.
So by investing in RWX's perpetual contracts tied to these assets, you're essentially diversifying your portfolio,
Makes sense.
adding a layer of protection against those sudden crypto crashes.
Right, like hedging your bets,
Exact.
but with real estate.
Or barrels of oil.
Barrels of oil instead of just another altcoin.
I like it.
But what about these community-voted indexes? How does that whole system work? And what are the benefits compared to, say, a traditional index fund?
It's actually quite clever. RWX allows its community to vote on which real-world assets are included in specific indexes. So let's say there's an index focused on renewable energy. The community gets to decide which companies or projects in that sector are worthy of being part of the index.
Okay.
This adds a layer of decentralization and, in theory, helps ensure the index reflects the collective wisdom, or at least the preference of the
That's
community.
The wisdom of the crowd.
Now, compared to traditional index funds, this approach offers more transparency and direct involvement in the index composition.
Interesting.
But of course, there are also challenges. Preventing manipulation of the voting process and ensuring the community is well-informed are crucial aspects that RWX needs to address effectively.
So it's sort of like a crowdsourced index fund in a way.
Yeah.
But I'm curious about these perpetual contracts. Can you explain how they work and why they're used in this context? I think some of our listeners might not be familiar with that concept.
You're right, it's a bit of a deep dive. Unlike traditional futures contracts, which have a set expiration date, perpetual contracts, sometimes called perps, allow you to hold your position for as long as you like.
Wow.
This is important for RWAX because it lets you ride out those long-term trends in real-world asset classes without worrying about rolling over contracts. You can essentially keep your position open until you decide to close it.
Gotcha. So it's all about long-term exposure and flexibility.
That's right.
But we can't ignore the elephant in the room, the 50x leverage.
50x.
I mean, that's got to be tempting for some, but it sounds incredibly risky.
Absolutely. It's a powerful tool, but it can definitely magnify both gains and losses.
Oh, yeah, sure.
I think it's essential for anyone using that level of leverage to have a deep understanding of the risks involved and a solid risk management strategy in place. It's not for the faint of heart.
Definitely not.
Or for beginners.
So RWAX is offering a potential shield against crypto volatility, access to real-world assets, and the ability to juice those returns with leverage. But what about the other side of the coin? You mentioned a unique tokenomics model earlier.
Right.
Can you shed some light on that?
Sure. RWX has its own utility token. That plays a role in governance, staking, and earning a share of protocol revenue.
I see.
This creates a kind of ecosystem where token holders are incentivized to participate in the platform's growth.
Okay.
They've also designed a fee structure that aims to keep costs low for users. And then there are all those incentive programs, trading competitions, referral bonuses, and even loyalty rewards.
Wow.
It's clear they're trying to build a really active and engaged community.
It sounds like they've really thought through how to attract and retain users.
They have.
But let's talk about the platform itself. What can you tell us about RWAX's security measures? I mean, we've all heard the horror stories of DeFi hacks and exploits.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So this has got to be a top concern.
It is. I completely agree. And to be fair to RWX, they've been quite transparent about their approach to security. They've acknowledged the inherent platform risks, detailed their use of price oracles, and undergone multiple security audits. There's even a bug bounty program to encourage the community to help identify and fix potential vulnerability.
That's good to hear. Security is always a critical factor, especially in a space as dynamic as DeFi.
Absolutely.
So let's wrap this up. We've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
From hedging against volatility to community-driven indexes, and of course, that tempting 50x leverage.
50x.
But for our listeners who are eager to chase those potential 100x returns, what's your main takeaway? Is RWX the real deal?
Well, there's no doubt that RWX is pushing the boundaries of DeFi. The concept of bringing real-world assets into the space has enormous potential, but it's still early days. We need to see how the platform performs in the wild, how the community responds, and how they handle the inevitable challenges that come with any new technology.
Right.
So while the potential is there, it's crucial to approach this with a healthy dose of caution. Do your research, understand the risks involved, and remember, never invest more than you can afford to lose.
Wise words. And for our listeners, this raises a fascinating question. What role do you think real-world assets will play in the future of DeFi? Is RWX just the tip of the iceberg? Or is this a trend that's here to stay? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Until next time, keep diving deep and stay curious.